As many of you probably know, I've made quite a few mod videos for Fallout 4, whether it be showing you custom load orders that I've made, such as a video I posted earlier this week, or just in general mods that have been recently released to improve your game. Well, following all of these videos, I get asked one question more than just about anything else, and that is, what graphics mods am I using, or how do you make your game look so good? Now, I personally don't feel like my game looks exceptional or particularly good, but evidently with this many people asking, it's the type of video I should probably make. This isn't that video. This is where I actually do the opposite, where I help you make Fallout 4 look as bad as humanly possible. I looked through many mods to get to this point with the ultimate goal of making Fallout 4 look terrible. And as you can see by the background, I think I did a halfway decent job. I think Fallout 4, using the mods I'm using, actually does look quite a bit worse. But what I found through this experience, through this journey of the transformation of Fallout 4, is it actually almost feels like a different game. These individual mods aren't the greatest, but when you put them together, when you play through Fallout 4 this way, it actually gives you a very interesting experience. So the first mod you're going to want to download, and really the one that creates this entire dynamic, is Ultra Low Textures by Cutesy. It's a very simple mod, actually a fairly old mod at this point also, and after downloading it, your game will look like this. It pretty much flattens out and removes all the detail from almost every vanilla thing, whether it be various creatures you might encounter, maybe even some of the guns or armors that you're used to wearing and representing. Of course, other NPCs also need a change. They have to look quite a bit worse there too. And even though at first I kind of did this as a joke video, almost to be comical, after downloading this mod as I suggested in the beginning, it actually gives you a pretty interesting take on Fallout 4. Because it's almost like it's so bad that it feels like a different game. It doesn't feel like I'm playing Fallout 4 with worst graphical settings. It feels like I'm playing like Fallout 4 / Roblox combined. So when I make these modding videos, the way I do it is typically I'll create a mod list, periodically testing out some of the mods as I go along. And for this video, I did have a good 4, 5, 6 mods to make Fallout 4 just look absolutely terrible. One of the craziest parts was though, the Ultra Low Textures mod is so powerful that it pretty much invalidates several of those other mods. The other mods would remove extra details, make some texture or graphic look worse, but it never was quite this bad. You see, when you download the Ultra Low Textures mod, you're getting a complete experience. It literally affects just about every texture, which is profound. It has a massive impact and creates most of what you're seeing in the background. With that being said, one other mod that is actually something I've covered before is a genuine way to just increase performance in Fallout 4 is Insignificant Object Remover. What this mod's going to do is actually just delete some of those otherwise irrelevant objects you see in the background, like those little rocks everywhere. Now, I'm not sure how much a performance gain you'll get from this, considering all of them already looked like Play-Doh, but at the very least, it made it so Fallout 4 had a little bit less detail, even if everything else already was very detailless to begin with. So with these two mods, I had a mod list. Again, I tried to make this longer. I tried several other mods, and they just didn't really make a difference. And what an experience this mod list is. It's something I think almost all of you should try at least once, considering it's so easy to just download 2 mods. Actually starting and playing Fallout 4 with this is pretty interesting. Right off the bat, I did notice an interesting glitch. It was likely due to some kind of mod conflict, but my character looked different. Although despite my best efforts, I could not figure out a way to fix this. But from there, actually leaving Vault 111 and going through the rest of the game, it was a transformative experience. Watching back some of this gameplay and actually experiencing it the first time, it really almost felt like, as the best I could describe it, like a 3D Fallout Shelter. The otherwise flat and soft textures really did match the style of Fallout Shelter to a degree, and in particular when you were using terminals. I feel like that's when it really struck me as, hey, this is like Fallout Shelter. Once you leave the vault though, that's when things, for me at least, really felt like they kicked into high gear. Looking around at the world, everything looked familiar. Many of us have gone through this exact sequence hundreds of times, potentially over the past 3 to 4 years. But even though I recognized everything, taking it all together, it honestly felt different. I didn't feel like I was playing Fallout 4 anymore, and hopefully the video footage conveys that. It was at this point I also noticed an oddity with some of the trees. This might have been a conflict with some older mods I had installed, or it could have just been because this mod hasn't been updated in a couple years. But although the trees looked different and weird, it kind of added to the experience. It made it feel like I was in some foreign place and honestly kind of reminded me of Zelda Breath of the Wild. But venturing on, where I feel like this load order really started to shine was actually with encounters with other NPCs. Getting into combat, looking at my comically low texture gun and looking at a bunch of comically low texture NPCs and their armors all coming together. Something else that also makes this experience particularly funny, if you have other mods installed, they'll really stand out, especially when it's a weapon or an armor. All of a sudden you'll be walking around, you'll just spot something that's way higher texture and it'll just look way more detailed. In some way, this kind of added to the experience, but it also made it really easy to point out when a mod was there or wasn't. And at least part of me feels like this is the way Preston Garvey was always meant to look. It just feels right in Fallout 4, and honestly, seeing him this way, playing with him this way, and doing some of his quests, it almost made me want to just make a standalone mod to make it so Preston always looks this way. But at the end of the day, bringing this all together, I was kind of shocked how much fun and how enjoyable using these low-resolution mods were. It didn't just feel like it was degrading Fallout 4 or a worse version of Fallout 4, but rather something different, new, and unique that I had a lot of fun playing with, and I have a feeling I might try this again in the future just for my own personal playthrough. Again, doing this load order, having this setup is immensely easy. I'll have links to the 2 mods I use in the description if you want to download them, and I would highly recommend giving it a shot. As you're watching this, I'm actually pre-recording it as I am in California for something secret and special that I'll be able to talk about at a later date. So for those of you curious as to, hey, where's your video on the Fallout 4 update? It's coming. It should hopefully be out tomorrow by the time you're watching this. But otherwise, hopefully you enjoyed this one. I have a lot of other cool and exciting Fallout 4 videos in the works that you can look forward to over the next week or two. And at some point in the future, I will actually be making a video on how good you can make Fallout 4 look in 2019, not just how bad you can make it look. As always, again, I thank you for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this fun. But with that, I hope to see you all next time. Later.